Hello, I'm back. Okay, I'm just going to dive straight in. I don't believe in messing around. So, today's short story idea is, as usual, predicated on the fact that there's this advice to write what you know. And a lot of people think, well, I don't know very much about my own life, but you're surrounded by inspiration, totally and utterly surrounded by it. Things happen even on the most boring of days, which are slightly out of the ordinary, and you can write a story around them. The thing to do is identify what it is. Okay, so this is the how. You identify what it is, and then you ask yourself, how can this be a problem for my main character? Your main character has to have a problem. So whatever it is, turn it into a problem. Okay, so here's what happened yesterday. Okay, I've decided it's probably best if I wait 24 hours and I can process what happened the day before. Write it down at the time. And that's advice as well. Keep a journal of these strange things, and then you've got things to go back. Okay, so yesterday we saw a bird. My wife and I saw a bird. And she's totally convinced it was a hummingbird. Now I'm thinking it's hummingbird shaped, but it was rather large. It was rather large. So I wrote it down today, and when I was reading it back, I pronounced it as a hummingbird. Yeah, I read things aloud. I'm an auditory person. So there are two things there, aren't there? First of all, the out of the ordinary thing, while we're going through what we saw, a bird we don't normally see. And it was second strange thing was that it was a rather large size. And then finally, I mispronounced it. So there are three possible things there. One, something unusual happened. It didn't have to be a hummingbird. It could be a rather large hornet. Like I said, turn it into a problem. Hummingbirds generally are not a problem, but the cat's here. See, that's out of the ordinary. She waits until I'm on the computer, and then all of a sudden, oh, hello. I've ignored you all day, but now that I know you're doing something, I need to interrupt you. It was rather large, so as I said, turn it into a threat. And the other thing would be possibly that your main character gets annoyed by people who mispronounce things, or they themselves mispronounce certain words, so that they annoy other people, and those people refuse to cooperate with them. So, as with the other videos, we need to consult the 5 main stories and see what we can do with them. So, romance. Okay, the whole point about a romance. Oh, excuse me. It's just an alarm. The whole point about a romance is that there has to be a problem, otherwise it's not a romantic story, is it? You know, people who live happily ever after. The whole, well, even Cinderella had a problem. He had to go and find her because she ran away. So whoever is the main protagonist in the romance, they find that this person mispronouncing certain words annoys the heck out of them. And then they learn a little bit about being a nice human being, and they work on themselves. And maybe they inspire the other person to work on their diction. It doesn't have to be that they mispronounce words. They could have some of the small habits which most people would just think, okay, we can live with that. But, you know, they can't. All right, horror. Oh, well, it could be a very vicious hummingbird, couldn't it? It could be a carnivorous hummingbird and attack people. Attack of the hummingbirds. Sci-fi or fantasy? Well, we live in the age of drones, so it could be a little robot hummingbird. In fantasy, it could be a mythical being which, like the ugly duckling story, transforms into some kind of giant phoenix and has mythical powers. How would that be a problem for the protagonist? Well, maybe that is the protagonist. Or maybe the mythical powers are not favorable to the protagonist and the village in which they live. I'm assuming it's quest type fantasy. Comedy, okay. A comedy, if you're a comedian, I'll leave it up to you what you do with a giant size hummingbird, but maybe in your comic story, everything for 24 hours is of huge proportions, or the reverse, maybe tiny. And finally, thriller action. Well, it could be that, like I said, the age of drones. So these are robots and they're being used in warfare or being used by some megalomaniac to perform industrial espionage or whatever. And so we're streaming this live, and it tells me the time, how long I've been on. I try to keep these under 8 minutes because I get bored